Welcome back to Peak's Peak. My name's Lucas. We're sharing our hobbies on 38 acres in eastern Kentucky, and we are back up at the house build site because we have to plan out our porch.
We've got a great video for you today.
Overkill is underrated.
We're going to use a lot of different equipment.
I know shovel's not a four-letter word, but it fits right in that same category.
We're going to move a lot of dirt. And we're going to load up the sawmill and start milling beams and posts for our porch.
So since the last time we worked on the house, we got electronic door locks and doorknobs installed, and I really like it. This is a cool setup. And we got them installed on all of the doors. So we are officially secure. Got all the tools stored in here now. We're good to go. And I picked up these electronic doorknobs off of Amazon, and they are affordable. They're easy to program, easy to change the programming code so that they're secure if you're interested in electronic entry to your house. These are a good option, and I'll put a link to them down in the description so that you can check them out. Here's the cool thing about designing and building your own house is you get to decide how you build everything, how it turns out, what dimensions you want to use, and all of that. The not so cool part is you have to decide. And on the porch, I still haven't fully made up my mind what design I'm going to go with. I want basically a full front porch. But what I've been trying to decide on is, do I want the roof line of the porch to come all the way to the very end of the house? Or do I want the overhang to come out and match up with the overhang of the roof above? Or do I want to set it in a few feet? And I've tried to look at pictures of other house designs, but this single slope roof design is kind of I don't know if you'd call it a modern design. I mean, I'd call it a shed roof, so you would think it's a more primitive design, but most of the houses that are built in this shape are going for a modern look, and that's not really what I'm going for. I'm basing my design off of the cabin that me and Kaden built, really. I did a little bit of measuring, and in deciding how I'm going to structure this porch and what materials I'm going to use, I think that helped me to decide on going ahead and setting the porch in about 4 feet from each end. And what that's going to do, it's basically 4 feet to the edge of this window. So what it will do is basically put the porch roof lining up with the outside edge of this window here. What that will do is allow me to set my posts in another 2 feet so that I have good overhang on the ends and the outside edge. I'll have enough room on the concrete to put stone around the base of the beams. And if I set them in 2 feet from each end, that makes me span a total distance of 40 feet. So my posts can be on 8-foot centers. And I'm going to mill posts and beams for the structure of this porch. And those logs came from right where this house sits. And that's one of the really cool things about doing a build like this is when we cleared this off, we saved every tree that was worth saving and cut them into logs and put them over at the sawmill and saved them. And I've got some really nice timber over there. So we're going to be able to build the basic structure of this porch out of those beams. And I think another part of my concrete design will be that I'm going to drill post holes before we pour the concrete, but I'm not going to set these posts down in that concrete. Instead, what I'm drilling the post holes for is when we pour the concrete, it'll fill those holes up with concrete, and then I can set those post anchors down in that hole with the rebar that goes down into the hole, and that way they'll be secured so that we don't have to worry about the winds up here on this hill lifting the porch roof off. Yeah, this thing's a little bit tricky to get up right next to a wall because with the length of the machine, of course, you've only got so much movement side to side to get out. And I was trying to run as close to the wall as I could run. Well, when I got to this end, my ground was tilted a little bit in towards the wall, and I got so tight against the wall I couldn't get away. I tore my house wrap just a little bit, a couple spots. I'm gonna have to patch that up. But this machine's awesome, but you know, it's got its limitations. I'm just trying to keep from having to use a shovel. That's also why I had him. All right, guys, we got a lot done on the leveling for our porch pad. I'm not done yet. I need to take a little more dirt out of that other end. But what I was doing was just shaving dirt off little at a time and bringing it down here and building this end up, because I needed to build up, and we brought it up about a foot down here, but I was bringing it up about, you know, a few buckets loads at a time and then walking it in. And that way we will have this closer to grade where it needs to be. But we got to finish taking out the dirt that we need here, and what I'm wanting is enough room to put a few inches of crusher run gravel that I can pack in here real good, and then pour 4 inches of concrete and leave an inch below my vents there. We also are going to be sloping it away from the house. It's concrete. We don't want the water running back towards the house, so I'll set my forms up to where it slopes away from the house, and yeah, we'll be about ready to do this thing. So I'm gonna piddle with this all week. Most of the family's up here tonight. Cameron's been working over in the wood yard, sawing up lumber for his porch, and Amber and Tegan, the grandbabies, in there. Caden and Jana, they're all just hanging out. So it's been a good time tonight. I've got just about all the dirt moved I need to move. I've got a little bit more smoothing out to do here, and I got to rake dirt away from the wall here with a shovel. Yeah, I don't like using that word. I know shovel's not a 4-letter word, but it fits right in that same category. I'm picking up nails as I go too. I hit kind of some hard pack that I really want to get smoothed out a little better than it is, and leveled out. And I also want, you know, the ground to slope just a little way away from the house. So I decided to employ countermeasures. The little skid steer was doing great, but it wasn't quite heavy enough to break through that hard dirt, and I don't have, you know, a cutting edge on the bucket. So I decided I'll go ahead and break the ground up, smooth it out a little bit with this land plane, and then I'll dress it up with the mini skid steer when I get done. So I also went ahead and put the Easton made grapple back on it, because Cameron is going to load some more logs on the mill tonight, and I want him to kind of get a chance to use that. is the ticket for breaking up ground and leveling. And I'll tell you what makes this land plane just really do the business is a hydraulic top link that is leaking hydraulic fluid. We better tighten that up. The hydraulic top link allows you to kind of feather out the dirt. And what I really was using the land plane for mostly here was just to break this dirt up so that I can finish smoothing it out with the mini skid and leveling it out. But I want to show you what I was able to do down here on the end. So I would take the land plane, pull the roots and stuff out here. I would drop the land plane down past the roots and stuff that were piled up, and then I could back them back over the hill. And I would back them down through here, but with the hydraulic tilt on the back, I could raise it up to this contour that I'm building and go up and over and slope it down here. So I smooth this out, and then at the bottom, right next to the weeds, I dropped all the roots and dirt. All right, so I've been up here working on this and moving dirt and getting it closer and closer, but every time I'd step back and look at it, it just still sloping in towards the house, needing to move more dirt from the outside edge. So we brought the land plane over and the scarifiers, and we scarred the ground up a little bit, moved some dirt, and that worked some. But we had a couple of spots here that are really, really hard packed clay dirt that just, we weren't really making any headway with it. And decided we take this Easton made grapple here, stick these tines down in it and churn it up that way, and it's actually working really well. So I'm gonna put the camera out here and just kind of show you how well it's breaking up the dirt, because this is such a heavy made grapple, you can do things with it you couldn't do with a normal grapple. And this is one of them, and it's pretty handy. See, that's stirring up some dirt. See, now how cool was that? I mean, I've been piddling around with this, trying not to take too much, and then hitting these hard spots and leaving high spots. And in 5 minutes, we took 3 or 4 inches out of here, and it's almost perfectly level now. The land plane and the Easton made grapple. It's good stuff, man. I think we are ready for some gravel. I will get me a load of Crusher Run brought in here. But man, this looks fantastic. I had a little bit of help, and there's kind of some change to our story coming because my mom and her husband Dwight are going to move here from Indiana and kind of get closer to a lot of the family that's here, and you know, just kind of change in life. They're getting older and retired, and sometimes need a little bit of help and all, but they are here searching for houses in the area and hoping to find something that they can buy and move into that will be kind of close to everybody here. So they're not going to live on Peaks Peak, but they're going to be around more often. And so actually Dwight was up here this evening, and it was a big help because he was kind of directing me on where my high spots were. And you know, Dwight's been around the block, operated equipment and worked farm equipment and all that, and so you know, he had some pointers and things. It was his idea to throw the grapple in the ground and dig up some of that dirt. And it's nice to have another set of eyes that kind of knows what they're looking at to give you some pointers. So that was a big help, and we look forward to having them around more. But yeah, so for tonight, I think we've got the ground prepped about as good as I'm going to get it. I'm going to probably order in my Crusher Run gravel and start getting that ready, getting supplies together so we can form this up. Get me a patio poured. The quicker I can get the patio poured, the quicker I can start building my porch roof and moving on with siding and all of those things. And we'll get the porch roof on, you know, so that I can trim everything out right and then start putting on the siding. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. All right, well, I mostly have the site prepped. So today I'm going to load a log on the mill and start working on my beams and posts. I think I have decided to go with pine beams and posts, mainly because I have some really nice pine logs that came from the spot where we cleared to put our house. And I think that's pretty cool. They're going to be under roof, they're going to be stained and treated, and they're also not going to have ground contact or concrete contact. So I think that pine probably will hold up pretty well in the situation we're using it in. So I think that's going to be all right. Plus, I gave most of my really nice oak logs to my son so he could build his deck. So I guess we'll go with pine. Squeeze. I think we're going to have to widen our entrance to the log yard. Well, I believe that's the longest log I've ever put through the doorway, and it was a little rough. I was a little hard on my siding. I hope it didn't break nothing. I was gonna use 6x6s, but I might even go 8x8 just to make them beefy. Overkill is underrated. If I have enough pine logs to do it, I think I'm gonna go 8x8. Man, this sucker's a beast. Decided I don't want to have to pick it up off of this side. I better put some log stops in here. Well, I knew the log was tight getting it in here, and it is 17 foot 6 inches long. So it's definitely the longest log I've put through this doorway. I didn't hurt anything. I did push in on my siding just a little bit, kind of, nick the edge of it there, but not, didn't break anything. But I'm gonna have to cut about a foot off of it, so I should have just done it before I brought it in here. I have kind of measured out the layout for the porch roof and figured out exactly what I need, and I'm going with about a 212 pitch on that roof. So my front post will be 8 foot, will be a little over 10 foot tall back at the house, and that will put my beams just above the top of the windows, about the same height as the top of the windows on the house. So I think that'll look nice because the beam won't be down blocking the windows. That's kind of what I was going for. And I came out 1 inch of leeway there. The windows, top of the windows is 8'1" from the porch concrete up. So it's gonna work out good. I gotta grab a chainsaw and knock some of these knots off of here, chop the end of this log off, then we're ready to start milling. It's been a while since I've laid into a log. Cameron's been milling a little bit, and it's kind of I've got the bug.
We're really thankful that you're here following along in our little dream house build. If you're enjoying our content, be sure and subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think. And until next time, be sure and get outside and enjoy God's creation because it's beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.